Thank you very much. And Naomi, thank you for introducing me. I sort of jumped in here, and sometimes I move too fast. But my name is Lisa. When they asked me to moderate this, I said, boy, it's going to be hard because I'm going to want to weigh in and react. And there's not so much time for that. But I want to say before I move to Tadgio that part of the challenge we face is to understand that this earth and the commons that Michael talked about, the air, the water, the land, it really is an amazing earth, and there is abundance on this planet. But we need to use it with respect and restraint. And that's part of the problem, is being out of balance. And our challenge is not so much about either or, but and both. And in terms of how we are, what we can create in this world. There is no alternative. They said there is no alternative in Seattle, and we proved that there was, and we're proving it each day. And so I want to now pass the mic to Tadgio, who wants to share a little bit about where this concept of reclaimed power came from and why. Because power is also not limited. It's relational, and we can build more and more. There's no zero sum here. So part of what we want to do in this next period is look at how do we build our power, how do we learn how each of us have been doing it, and take it to the streets.
Thank you. So it's easy for Michael to say that he's nervous speaking after Naomi. I'm terrified of speaking after the two of them. So I will. I'm also, because I'm incredibly hyperactive, I'm gonna stand up. So otherwise, if I sit here, my knees start shaking, and it's like not so good. Okay. So first of all, thank you. It's amazing to see so many people here. See so many people in Copenhagen. So many people here to reclaim our power. Because over a year ago, in September 2008, many international comrades gathered, thanks to a friendly invitation from our Danish friends, to start or to expose the dirty little secret that has been haunting the United Nations Framework Convention on Climate Change for the 15 years of its existence, which is that the cops won't solve the climate crisis. It's a dirty little secret, but somebody's got to say it. It won't solve the climate crisis. It won't deliver what we really need. It won't deliver radical emissions reductions. It won't deliver real global justice. Why? Because the COP really isn't about solving the climate crisis. The COP is fundamentally about solving the multiple crises that global capitalism had got itself into in the last few years. Put it another way, the COP isn't about saving us. The COP is about saving global capitalism. I know you might say, well, you can't say that. The UN, I know me pointed this out, it's the UN, it's not the WTO, it's not the IMF. It's the UN, they got the funny blue helmets, and they're the nice guys. Sort of. But, and this may sound a bit like Life of Brian, but what have 15 years of COPs ever done for us? It's one of my favorite scenes from the movie. So, I'm going to get a bit German academic-y here. There's 4 kinds of effects of 15 years of COP I wanted to quickly look at. First, okay, and yes, I always do this because I'm hyperactive. I speak far too fast. So if I do this, and I know there are many friends here for whom English is not the first language. Yeah. So if I get ranty and too fast, just do this, or throw soft things at me. Somebody give me a spliff as well. This also helps. Okay, so 4 effects of 15 years of COP, right? Ecological effects, 0. Since the COP came into existence, since the Kyoto Protocol came into force, emissions have been rising and their rate of increase has been rising. So if the COP was about solving the climate crisis, so far they would have really fucked up quite seriously. Okay. So 0 ecological effects. Secondly, social effects. You know those funny things they call carbon offsets? Where we in the global north pay people in the global south to clean up our shit so we can continue with our destructive business as usual? Right, what happens with those kinds of projects is that, say, in Mexico, people kick indigenous people, the big companies kick indigenous people off the land so that they can build a wind farm there. So the same people who have done the least to cause the climate crisis are once again kicked off the land so we can continue our own fucked up ways. So that's the second point. Social effects of the COP, negative. So no solving the climate crisis, no global justice. However, there's a third effect, a political effect. Yeah, ranty, I know. A political effect. Namely that when you talk to people about climate change and they say they're worried about it, they will often say, well, but don't they have they've got these climate summit things, where they meet and they talk and they come up with these emissions markets and these clever ideas. So what happens is that the COP really creates a shield around the global capitalist system, the economic and the political system, because it essentially legitimizes what goes on by pretending that the problems are being solved. But since we know the problems are being solved, the COP legitimizes our fucked up business as usual. But really the most significant effect of the COP, from the perspective of global capitalism, has been to create a major new market, a major new financial playground where those capitalists who brought us the last crisis can have another go at fucking shit up. Right? So basically the COP has led to the creation of enormous global emissions markets. Admittedly, in 2008, those were kind of small, only $100 billion large, give or take. But we're a bit desensitized after all the stimulus packages, 700 billion here and there. And by 2015 or 2020, these markets are going to be about $2 to $3 trillion large. Now, I want to get into a lot of political economy, but one of the current crises of capitalism is a crisis of overaccumulation. That means there isn't enough places to profitably invest your money. That then leads to financialization, to all these kind of speculative bubbles. So the important point is that the main effect of the COP has been to create new markets, to create new opportunities for profit, to legitimize business as usual. So whatever the original plan might have been, the COP hasn't solved the climate crisis, it hasn't delivered global justice, but it has or is trying to save global capitalism from itself, and we really need to start doing something about that. So the people who got together in 2008 in September, who are now called Climate Justice Action, decided to do something totally different this time. We decided not to wait for our supposed leaders to solve the climate crisis and to deliver climate justice. We decided to do it ourselves and to reclaim power. Now, the way this is going to work out, now it gets a bit tricky because we need to talk about the way the action's going to work out, without me getting arrested afterwards and all this stuff.
Why not?
Okay, so the action that we have planned for Wednesday, and I think this is once again where the German academic in me sort of creeps out, has 2 strategic goals and 4 tactical elements. So this is it's going to get a bit tricky. Okay, the strategic goals are: A, set a totally different agenda. Since we know that the UN won't solve the climate crisis, we need to push the agenda of global climate politics away from their false solutions, away from their... Slow down. Yes. Okay, oh, good, yeah, okay. We have time. Well, if your pulse was 160, you'd be speaking fast. But fair point, fair point.